Great. So Matt, nice
Yes,
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've got some questions for you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your e-folio.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how the e-portfolio reflects your learning this term, and tell me a little bit about how you built on the understanding experiences you've had from coming into the program. So where you were on the program and where you are now, how you built on that.
Yeah, so since this is a tech course, coming into the course, I was very kind of afraid of technology. Like, I like using technology at home, but like connecting it to classrooms and just using a whole different array of technology kind of was scary, daunting. And also Folioz was kind of confusing at first. And but as we worked along in class and we got help from our peers and Tim, it started to be really interesting to get to know different things about Folioz and how we could use it as like a digital resume. And after I learned how like cool it was to use, I started taking it really seriously and thinking in my head like I could use this for long term. I could use this as a digital resume. And
Can you show me an artifact that reflects that growth or that learning?
yeah, so I think a really good artifact to use would be the badges that we earned throughout the semester. So I've arranged them in the Folioz, YouTube, EPHE, and Google.
Okay.
And the Folioz was for Folioz, obviously, and that was to just create new pages and just have good organization and make it the best page.
Right.
So you can do and categorize everything. And then YouTube, that was interesting because since technology is becoming so important and so big in schools right now, it's important to have really good curating websites that you can share with colleagues and share with your students. I feel like YouTube is one of a great curating website that can be used to enhance student learning. So those badges reflect what I've done with YouTube. And then EPHE was for our PE course, since Tim is our professor in this course and in EPHE, elementary PE. These badges reflect that.
Yeah.
And that's mostly about blogs. And then Google's huge in the classrooms. We had an EdTech initiative project, which I'll talk about later. With that project, we went to, or my partner and I went into a middle school, and it was amazing seeing how big Google has become in classrooms with Google Apps for education. And so that's why probably I have most badges with Google, because I just tried to explore it and master it as much as I could over the semester.
Is there one badge that would show that would reflect some of the specific learning you've done?
It's just kind of like a wide array of different things. Like I feel like I said, since Google's the most has the most badges barely, but I feel like I've spent most time on Google. I feel that's most relatable to becoming a teacher because Google App for Education and Google is such a huge part of classrooms now.
All right. So while we're doing this, remember that you can show me one or two artifacts, right?
Yeah.
That will reflect these kinds of things.
I'd love to show you this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about it before, the EdTech initiative project.
Yes.
This is where we went into there's groups of 2, 3, or 4, and we went into different schools across Victoria that Tim has really good relationships with. And my partner and I went into Monterey Middle School in Oak Bay, and we connected with a fantastic teacher, Dr. Katie Connolly, and she teaches grade 6. And when we walked into the classroom, every student had their phone out, every student had a tablet, or not every student, but they each had their piece of technology. It's like, holy cow, like these kids, like they're lucky, but like how does this work? Like people are texting over there, people are doing their book report on their tablet right there.
Right.
And so our project was to use this app, but I feel like most of the learning that Elizabeth, my partner, and I did, Elizabeth was before us, you didn't remember. But the most learning that we did was through Bring Your Own Device, which was part of her classroom.
Right.
So it was just fantastic to see how different students could use different devices. And although we just focused on this app, we also interviewed her after, and most of our questions related to technology in the classroom and how she has embraced technology, which made me excited to see what I can do as a teacher, and made Elizabeth excited too. And then also, we did presentations, like you see here.
Yeah.
We did presentations on our project, just seeing other people's presentations of implementing technology into the classroom, no matter what age. Even though I'm thinking in the back of my head like grade 4, grade 5, no matter what age, technology can change students' learning, because I feel like a theme throughout the presentations was excitement. Every child was excited to use a new piece of technology.
What do you think? So what, I'm thinking about two things here as I'm looking at the question of what changed for you as a teacher, how you see yourself differently.
Yes.
It sounds like the technology is a huge part, but that engagement is a huge part of that. What is one reason you think that students would be excited because of the technology? Like, what's happening there? What's one of the pieces that draws them in?
I think just like children love technology. I feel like because it's so bright and you can change anything right there instead of writing a piece of paper. It's just that, or reading a book. You have your imagination, but like if you have an iPad, everything's right there,
Right.
and you can press it, and like for younger children, bright colors come up, cool pictures, cool videos, and for older children, once they start developing their like cognitive skills, they learn easier ways to go about things, which is connects to the app that we did in the school, Read and Write. So it's a speech to text. So it becomes, the older children understand that it's easier to use speech to text.
Okay.
So if they talk into their computer, it writes it for them.
Right.
So I feel like technology can engage younger children and older children differently, but it still engages them.
Do you think any part of that? So I'm looking at the third. I'm going to jump down to the third
Yeah.
question and just ask you a little bit about. It relates directly to this because one of the questions is how do multimodal opportunities for learning fit into this whole process? And you're really talking about that with what you're talking about with technology. Can you tell me a little bit about student choice and sort of that growing responsibility that they're getting for learning? It sounds to me, is that part of what they're excited about? You're saying that things come up immediately. Are students able to work more to move at their own sort of pace in the learning? Are any of these things part of what gets them excited?
Yeah, I noticed that in other presentations, students were able to go at their own pace. I remember one presentation, I'm not sure who it was, but they were using iPads for a kindergarten class, and they were learning how to trace letters. Was it you guys? Yeah, it was Tabitha. And
Yes.
with their group, they talked about how different students were at different levels, so it allows them to go at the pace they want, so that they don't feel pressured, and there's no big competition between each other.
So it sounds like that was one of the surprises that you found sort of in this program or in the learning that you did yourself was this piece about technology.
Oh yeah.
Is there another artifact that you'd like to show me that relates maybe to some significant learning that you did in your own or in a particular area?
Yeah, let's go back. Try this one. There we go. So I guess throughout the semester, a learning area that I really had is towards my own teaching philosophy.
Yes.
I think this connects to the third question. But like especially through PE, we've learned about Aboriginal learning principles and the Lil Wat principles. So I remember one of the very first classes in our seminar, we were instructed to create our own teaching philosophy. And I felt kind of weird doing that because I've had very little experience, and I didn't want to come off as like, I want to do this in my classroom when I have very little experience of taking educational courses.
Yes.
But like I created a philosophy, and it was all about, I was thinking about in the back of my mind, how do I like learning? Because I love learning. How do I learn best?
Yes.
And that's through collaboration and communication with other people. So when Tim and I talked about the Lil Wat principles, I really embraced them because they really connect to my teaching philosophy, and that's will improve my pedagogical skills and also the classroom environment because it really emphasizes an inclusive, safe, and purposeful area that students can learn, and it celebrates collaborative learning, which I feel like connects to like the real world so well because people are talking all the time. People are connecting what's related to technology too.
Right.
Yeah. Especially this one too. He's talked about Queetlib.
Right.
So if you're
Yes.
he's talked about it a lot, and I've kind of used it in my own learning, and I feel like I can connect all of these to teaching in the classroom, but especially Queetlib.
And why that one in particular? That it's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Dissonance and uncertainty is a huge part of this whole learning process, right?
Yeah.
So,
Like especially in technology, like we'd get stuck so many times, especially with our Folioz page. 'Cause it was really tough to, it's kind of tough learning curve.
Yeah.
But when we get at that place where we don't know what to do,
yes.
we don't just stop. We're just like, oh, whatever. We either go to, he really wants us to connect with our peers,
Okay.
so we go to them. And we just try harder to figure out what to do. We go on the internet, look it up, or we go to Tim to talk
Yeah.
about it. So it makes us really try to find the answer.
The connected part of things too, right?
Yeah.
Not just going to the one person. Sounds great. So tell me a little bit about how you would use the artifacts within your portfolio to explain your teaching philosophy or beliefs. And how will these be translated into your classroom? This is a really important part, isn't it? The philosophy, it is a great way to sort of make decisions about all sorts of other things that come up as far as how we'll teach things. Right?
Yeah, my philosophy, like I said, really revolves around the Aboriginal learning principles.
So if you were explaining it to a principal or someone said to you, hey, what is your teaching philosophy? And you had to narrow it down, you definitely would talk about what you just did, the collaborative piece. And so thinking about how that translated into your classroom, what would you say? Or is there an artifact that you can show me that, an additional one that would show that?
Not sure where to go. Let's go to. Let's go to music artifacts. So this one we just created with Anita. She's back there. She's a music professor.
Yeah.
With this one, we really this connects to the BC standards too, with understanding where our students are at and having parents and guardians and family be involved with learning. So if we implement this with students, which is kind of ties into my philosophy of collaboration, communication, with not only within the classroom and students, but also with parents too. So if students are able to kind of document their progress, so like the beginning of the year towards the ending, where we went from there to there, I feel like I can really put a new communicative piece between teachers, students, and parents, which will enhance learning for the students and also allow parents to get in the loop and see the improvement that their children are going through
I think that's a
cognitively.
hugely wonderful part of your philosophy, and to be able to say it in that way, to talk about the other piece that you did as well with the Indigenous piece, and to talk about this connection between all these groups, to realize that learning doesn't just happen in the classroom, that you need the rest of the community as well. I think that's a powerful piece to have shared.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's great. Is there another artifact that you would like to show that demonstrates your learning in the program as you were starting to address the BC standards to be certified as a teacher? So it could be effective practices, it could be understanding of how to apply knowledge of student growth or development. I'd be interested in that as well, how you your understanding of how to apply knowledge of student growth and development.
Especially, this is a very text-heavy page. This was a big project we had in our PE course. This really connects to understanding how to apply knowledge of student growth and development.
Yes.
This project was all about student development.
Yes.
So that's perfect.
Yeah.
In this project, we observed a child at a local elementary school, grade 1, and we looked at their different domains, so cognitive, psychomotor, affective, and social, and we connected it to a really helpful reading at the beginning of the semester from Wall and Murray. I forgot their first names, but they really talked about CAPS, which is the cognitive, affective, psychomotor, social, and that allowed us to observe our child and analyze them and see where they are in their development. And it was great, especially in PE, not only to see, because in PE before you think about just their psychomotor, you think about how well they do tasks, but also just connecting it to social and how psychomotor can connect to social. So if a student is doing well in a sport, they talk about that with their peers and they celebrate it, which not only improves their psychomotor and social, but also improves their self-worth, which is great to see. And it was great to look back at this project and just understand how students can develop through different processes.
Sounds like a really interesting project to have done as well, right? And
Yeah.
one you probably won't forget watching the development.
Oh yeah, and he was the child I observed. He thought we were best friends. It's like I'm actually like analyzing you. But he was a great kid, like super social. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an exciting way to learn, isn't it? To have, like, you will remember him, and because of
Yes.
you remembering him in this personal, emotional way as well,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
You have a context for him, so
It was
you
just-
remember him.
just so great that Tim had such good connections.
Yeah.
So many good relationships, especially with this elementary school with Brayfoot, and just schools across Victoria. He's like, you can go to this school, you can go to this school, and like, especially Brayfoot. They were so welcoming and so happy to have all of us there.
Yeah.
Felt very inclusive. I'd love to see myself teaching at a school like that.
Something like that.
It makes me feel good. Yeah.
Is there something else in here in the questions that you would like to address? Something that we've missed that you would...
Let's see.
Maybe I could ask you, when we're looking at just an overview of your e-portfolio, if you were just showing me if you were walking me through, not every part by any means, but if you were talking to me as a principal and I was saying, hey, just, show me a couple of things about your e-portfolio where you don't have to give me every piece, but what am I going to see, what am I going to learn about you from this e-portfolio? Just walk me through a couple of things fairly briefly.
Let's go to this one.
This
This was the very first page I created, and that's kind of like my my resume so far.
Yeah.
Being involved with children. So if I was to talk to a principal, I would really talk about my experiences with children and adolescents. And then so I talk about babysitting and how I've done that for so many years. And then Best Buddies, I'm currently involved with that. So I have a peer buddy who's developmentally disabled. So
Yes.
we meet a few times a month to just kind of hang out
Yeah.
and just do whatever. And then also I was a soccer referee too. And adds to
Well, that says a
being
lot about you
professional
already, doesn't it?
and
Yeah. If you're a soccer ref, you can do all sorts of things.
interact with parents too. That's probably the most difficult part is interacting with parents.
Yeah.
Coaches.
Yes. Yeah, we're pretty excited about what's happening with our particular child, right?
Yes.
Yes. The other thing I noticed in here is you've got educators engaged in career-long learning, and so as this principal who's thinking about hiring you or looking at this wonderful e-folio that you have, I'm really interested, or I'm encouraged by the fact that you've got something down about wanting to continue in learning, and especially that you have this amazing background now in digital technology. So I like that I can see really quickly what's happening here.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
So like the skin that you chose as your first introduction to yourself and the first page, I think it was. Was that your first page that we were looking at initially?
Yep, the profile page.
Yeah. So I think we're getting close to the end of your particular time. So again, if there's one last thing, if there's anything else you want to tell me or show me from the portfolio based on the questions or something else that you've got, go ahead.
Yeah, I've just tried to include just the most artifacts that I can through my experiences this year. So I've included lesson plans right there. I won't go into them because they're pretty big.
Yes.
And I've also included just the things that I've learned over the semester. Like I love learning, and this year was incredible for that, being my first year in the education courses. And so I've tried to really connect my excitement for learning and my experiences this semester into these pages. So I've kind of created them kind of slowly. So I've added to them.
Thoughtfully.
Now it's coming to cool.
Well, when I look at this, I just think this is exciting, Matthew. Like to see what you've done here, and to hear about your rationale, to hear about how you've changed, sort of coming in, and that you've actually really have learned hugely during this time that you're here as a pre-service teacher. It's exciting to see, and I love the collaborative part that you pulled in, the community parts. Those are really good things to hear.
Great.
So thanks for sharing.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Really great
Let's
stuff.
keep going.
So Tabitha, we're going to jump into yours.
Yeah.
And